Keen and Sabrini was an experience.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
It might honestly be the worst game I've ever played. But it's also true that I never really gave it a fair chance. I gave up pretty much instantly. So when I learned that a sequel was being made, I promised myself that I was gonna play this game from start to finish, to give it a fair review. The game was released in early access about a month ago, so it's about time I get this over with. Hopefully I don't end up losing my mind like with the first one. If you watched all my previous videos, you already know what I'm about to say.
Honey! What? Where's my
Options menu. I will literally remind you every single time. What did the options menu do to you? Unlike the previous game, you don't begin the game selecting your character or backstory, and let's be honest, it was completely pointless, so it's probably better this way. Instead, we begin the game with Keen falling from the sky, and we immediately get attacked by a metallic worm. Whoa, there's a lot to unpack here. I have never seen an RPG battle menu this long before. Anyway, we'll talk about this later. The enemies in this section don't really require anything other than simple attacks. After defeating the worm, we set out to find our companion, that has landed nearby, and we are given the controls. And here we encounter the first major mechanic of this game, the 5 senses. Thanks to a special device, you are able to activate or deactivate any of the 5 senses at will, while outside of combat. Not gonna lie, this is a very interesting mechanic, and it's used throughout the whole game. We'll explore how to use these senses later, but the first you'll probably use is the smelling. If your smelling is active, you'll be able to see green particles around the map. Interacting with them will give you an item. We quickly reunite with our buddy and are told to find the big bad that's leading the worms as our next objective. Apparently Keen and his friends are now superheroes. While I'm exploring the map, I get demolished by an electric fence.
Everyone, get in the car! We're leaving this town now! Ah! What the? Impossible!
That's where an idea springs into my head. What if I disable my sense of touch and try again? Lo and behold, by disabling my touch, I am immune to all damaging tiles. Okay, you might have something good here. After a while, I'm able to find the boss, triggering the first boss fight of the game. While I'm fighting, this sort of card game pops in front of me, and I remember getting super confused, especially because after ending my turn, the battle ends abruptly. Again, I'll explain later. The boss runs away, but before he does, he sabotages the device, causing it to teleport us into another dimension. We seek shelter in a nearby bush cave, and we are told we are currently in the kingdom of Q. Wherever that is. We also find out we lost the device that allows us to metamorph, so we set out to find it in the nearby forest. You won't be able to disable your senses until you find it again. In this section I begin to notice the game is a lot more linear than its predecessor. You're not sent on wild goose chases, the map only opens up when it's necessary, and you can only save when the game allows you to. I guess I can finally talk about the battle mechanics, and that weird card game. I'm sure you noticed the 50 million actions you have during your turn, and that your characters have a lot of different MP bars, but I assure you it's actually less complicated than you think. First of all, every character has a passive skill, and one ability per MP type. Everything else is pretty much what you've come to expect from a Hunger-like game, with this sole difference that this time enemies don't obliterate you in one hit. They actually tend to deal very little damage. Then what's the deal with the card game, you ask? It basically acts as the coin flip mechanic of the game, if you can even call it a coin flip at this point. You are given random cards with random numbers assigned to each color. You need to place all 3 of them on the board to end your turn. To win, you have to check the rules of the match in the bottom left. You can either win by using bigger cards, weaker cards, only by winning 1 or 2 lanes or getting a draw. I definitely prefer this to the dice flip the first game had. It gives the player a good chance to dodge the attack if they play the cards right, unless you need to get a draw. That's basically impossible, and it's just pure luck. Be careful though, if you lose too many times in a row and the red dot reaches the face on the left, you immediately lose. Luckily there are ways to reverse this, so it's not too much of a hassle. After exploring the forest a bit, I find myself in front of a very familiar sight. From the outside it looks like the castle from the first game. Interesting. I also quickly find out the guards don't really like it when you steal from their chests. In the castle we can find a lot of NPCs with pretty useful information, like the fact that you can find shortcuts around the map, and that party members don't actually die when they run out of HP, but they retreat back to a safe house. Speaking with the princess, we find out that the device has landed in the nearby desert. It turns out the desert is also where Sabrini lives, for some reason. And of course Keen immediately starts simping. After get the device back, we head back to the bush cave and prepare to leave this dimension. But the device apparently needs more time to charge, so Keen decides it's a good opportunity to get closer to Sabrini. If you think I'm flying through the events of the story, well, it's because the pacing is all over the place. You move at breakneck speeds through the story. Anyway, nothing super interesting happens after this, so let's just skip ahead a bit. Keen and Sabrina are invited to the castle for a party. At some point, Keen is given a special jar from a guy that calls himself Ian Brandon Anderson.
My name is not Ian Brandon something.
Turns out this was a trap set up by Sabrini's ex to kidnap her. We rush back to the entrance to stop them and begin a boss fight against the exes. Not gonna lie, the thought of a bunch of exes joining forces and creating the Ginyu squad actually made me laugh. Anyway, the fight is nothing special. With a bit of planning, I take them out one by one. After being defeated, they flee the scene and are never seen again. After the attempted kidnapping, Keen and Sabrini spend some time together, until she suggests introducing Keen to her father. Again, pretty random. Also, it's not clear if they're actually dating or not at this point, and the game kinda contradicts himself. Sometimes they are together, sometimes they are not. I just stopped keeping track at some point. But anyway, we need to get back to the bush cave to retrieve the item that will allow us passage to the Grim World. But we are ambushed by some mimics. After defeating one of them, the battle ends, and we are teleported to the backrooms. And here is where I started losing my mind. To escape from the backrooms, you have to go through the correct hallway. You're given one hint on which sense you have to follow to guess correctly. Doesn't sound super bad, right? The problem lies in the Neverending's patented fuck you mechanic of locking you in gay baby jail for all eternity every time you guess wrong, forcing you to reset the game, instead of just placing me back at the start. The place is also crawling with enemies that love to block your path, and, in true Neverending's fashion, they are not strong, they are just incredibly annoying. But the problems don't stop there. The game tries to dupe you into believing that the correct hallways remain the same between resets. But only the first hallway never changes. I learned this the hard way when I noted what the correct hallways were, and I still got locked into the hyperbolic time chamber. I thought I was losing my mind. The game was effectively gaslighting me into believing I was going insane. After minutes of this, I was starting to crash out. You can clearly see it from the footage too. Bump into an enemy, reset. Pick the wrong hallway, reset. Enemy blocking the way forward, reset. At one point, I managed to escape this first section, only to die from an enemy later on, booting me back here. I'm sure you can imagine dragons. I'm sure you can imagine I wasn't very happy. So I decided to take a break to calm down and continue another time. This is also where we find another companion, Zack. Meet Potential Man. He basically is a parody of those mobile game ads, specifically the Hero Wars ones. In theory, he has the ability to completely steamroll every enemy. As long as his HP is higher than the enemy's HP, he's able to one-shot them and absorb their HP, so he can one-shot even stronger opponents. In practice, you will never be able to do it, because he starts with 5 HP, and if he attacks something with more HP than him, he immediately dies. Still, keep him in mind for later. Back where we left off, I forgot to mention this section of the game goes on for way too long, without any way to save in between. The deeper I got, the more I was shitting myself at the mere thought of going back to the start. Luckily, I managed to get through it fairly quickly, and I reached the next safe house. Here we meet Kim's uncle. Don't even ask me why he's in the back rooms, I have no clue. We help him kill some satanic creatures, and he helps us escape the backrooms. Before we do, we have a nightmare where we are attacked by a crazy lady. Very random. We finally reach the Grim World and meet with Sabrini's father. Here we learn they are being threatened by angels, and Sabrini runs away, upset that their father wouldn't ask her for help with this. So we are tasked to find her and bring her back. The game opens up a bit here, and you'll have to utilize your senses a lot more, because this place is filled with traps. The most annoying of them being these yellow things that flashbang you if you don't close your eyes. This is permanent, by the way, so you are forced to reset if you can't find your way to a level transition. It's like the dev saw the blindness from Fear and Hunger 1 and said, "Oh yeah, I should definitely spam this everywhere." Just because Fear and Hunger did it doesn't mean that it's good. Blindness in Fear and Hunger is stupid and makes no sense. It's just a way to force you to reset. Just give me a game over at this point. Anyway, we find Sabrina hiding in the Gachimuchi area for some reason, so I get her back and head to her father. But once I get there, no one is here. Cue an entire day of me trying to figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to do. I'll spare you the pain. What you are supposed to do is find keys around the Grim World to open up these huts and break these seals to recruit auras in your party. Which, by the way, I just noticed while rewatching the footage that he was aura farming on top of a building at the beginning of the game. After recruiting auras, we can finally move on. Now we need to kill a few bosses to advance the story. How many, you ask? 10. I'll just skip over them, I'm sure nothing important will happen and... Something happened. This guy, to be precise. After defeating about 7 bosses, I try to defeat this guy next. But to my surprise, he's not taking any damage. And I don't mean like, oh, he takes little damage. No, he literally takes 0 damage from everything. I tried everything. Unequipping weapons, using items, every button on the keyboard, nothing. My last idea was to use Zack to bypass his defenses. So I go to recruit him. But there's a problem. He's supposed to spawn in this room. But no matter what I did, he wouldn't spawn for me. So that's it, I guess. I couldn't defeat this boss and my playthrough ended unceremoniously. Or does it? You see, I actually have one more ace up my sleeve. I decided to open the project in RPG Maker, and began snooping around. First I checked on why Zack wasn't spawning. It turns out, if you recruit him during the backroom section, you are forever locked out from recruiting him in the Grim World, since he only spawns here if you tell him to get lost. So the next best thing was to check the enemy itself. I quickly find out the answer. You see, when you begin this boss fight, he gains a status named Denser Defense. What does Denser Defense do? It applies a massive 3000% defense boost. You know, for good measure. How are you supposed to remove this status from the boss? I have no clue. I was never able to find out exactly what you're supposed to do to counter this. This issue requires a more hands-on approach. Don't worry, I assure you this guy won't be a problem any longer. If you somehow know how I was supposed to counter this boss, please let me know in the comments. After this I was mentally exhausted and stopped playing for the day. Nothing noteworthy happens for the rest of the bosses, except for this part, where the only way to reach the boss was by teleporting, using Aura's passive ability, but since he died during the fight I got stuck here, having to reset. By this point the game really started to drag, and I couldn't wait for it to end. After you defeat all the bosses, you can access the final area of the game. This place is especially annoying since it's filled with flashbangs. Getting blinded once means you 100% are going to reset. After this comes the final boss. But at this point you are given a pretty busted party member that has like 3 AoE abilities that deal insane damage, so the fight is very easy. We go back to the castle and the game is officially over, and everyone lives happily ever after. Except it's not quite over yet. 2 guys come barging in, telling us this dimension is about to be invaded. Nobody believes them and we are forced into a fight. After this, Keen and friends are finally able to teleport back to their dimension. But before they can, they are ambushed by the doctor that has been healing us for the entire game. The party is divided, with Keen being captured by the doctor and subsequently tortured. This scene is very gruesome and I won't be showing the images because I really don't wanna risk it. Apparently killing those 2 guys had irreversibly doomed the world, and now the invasion is inevitable. Keen manages to free himself thanks to his device, and we learn that it's also capable of time travel. Oh boy, we are getting time travel put into this as well. As if the story wasn't confusing enough. Also, Keen turns into Kaneki. He goes back in time to warn his friends, but of course nobody believes him, thinking he is just another mimic. And they fucking kill him, oh my god. And so the invasion begins. And here comes the big reveal. This game was never a sequel. This was a prequel. This is the story of how the first game happened. And also marks the end of Chapter 1. I have mixed feelings about this game. While I really liked some ideas and the reveal at the end kinda intrigued me, the game itself is not really that fun to play. Don't get me wrong, compared to its predecessor it's 10 times better, but there are still lots of problems. If you're looking for some feedback, I have some for you. Not having a way to replenish MPs without items doesn't feel great. It's very easy to soft-lock yourself if you run out of MP restoring items. Also, not being able to save when you want hurts it a lot. I really think you should just give the player a save point somewhere that he can use to save freely. You can even add a limited amount of saves. I would also completely remove the draw rule from the card game. Or if you wanna keep it, just reveal one of the enemy cards to make it more fair, because it's basically impossible to get a draw. And finally, please tell the player the mechanics of your boss fights, unless you want another incident. But despite its shortcomings, I really can't be mad at this game. There's a lot of soul and work put into this. While I was snooping around the RPG Maker project, I saw just how seriously the developer takes making these games. Maybe the games you make are not that great, but you put your heart into them. That's gotta be worth something at least. Will I play the other chapters? Depends on when they come out. Right now? Hell no, I need time to recover. It took me a whole week of playing this game day and night to finish it. I'm not ready for more. But before I end the video, I do have a question. I have come to realize that a lot of people genuinely like these games. So if you're one of them, please tell me exactly why. I'm curious on what exactly you like about them. Is it the story? Is it the characters? The fact that they are completely unhinged? Anyway, this is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. And I'll see you in the next one.